Instructions for accessing subtitles in a language other than English are included on our board meetings webpage as well as in the description below. Instrucciones para acceder a los subtítulos en un idioma que no sea el inglés se incluyen en nuestra página web de reuniones de la Junta, así como en la descripción a continuación.
All right, good evening and welcome to the Board of Trustees regular meeting. It is May 1st, 2024, and we are meeting in the district office. We have Ryan O'Neill present, myself, Rachel Litwick, and Daniel is here as well, but we are missing Shelley Hamilton and Chris Landels-Cobb. It is 5:34 and I'll call our meeting to order. First item on the agenda is closed session. Today we have conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, subdivision D2 or 3, special education program dispute, 2 cases, student SSID 461-654-1630 and SSID 658-306-5300. We also have conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6, all employee groups, CSEA, RVTA, confidential classified, classified management, certificated management. We have public employee performance evaluation, title, superintendent, pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. And let's see, for public comment, we have no public here to make comments. So at 5:35, I will recess us into closed session. Here, it is 6:33 and I am reconvening us back into open session from closed session. We did not make any decisions on items 5 or 6. However, for item number 4, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, subdivision D2 or 3, special education program dispute, 2 cases, SSID 461-654-1630 and SSID 658-306-5300. We approved both settlements as recommended by Cabinet. And with that, did I reconvene us at 6:34? Okay. And with that, I will move us on to our procedural items from our agenda. And the first item there is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would like to stand and join me for the pledge, you may. If not, that's totally fine too. All right. And the next item on our agenda is to adopt the agenda and time allocations.
So moved.
All right. Did we have an item on number 5 that we needed to adjust?
Yes.
Or
why don't we?
Do you want to pull item 5
Yeah,
on
let's
G5?
pull item G5. Given that on our subject and our recommended action, the wrong date for the election is listed as November 8, 2022. We didn't revise it. The background and the attachment are correct, but just because we don't want to have any problems with approving this, let's pull it tonight and bring it back on May 29th.
Okay. So Ryan, do you still make a motion?
With the changes.
Perfect. Do you have a second?
Yes, second.
All right. So Ryan.
Aye.
Daniel.
Yep. Aye.
Rachel, aye. All right, so we have an adopted agenda and time allocations. And next we have my favorite part of board agendas, the student presentation. And today we have Brookside School's 4th grade class. So I will let y'all take it away.
For having us. As a former history teacher, I'm particularly honored and proud to introduce Ms. Hundley and many of her 4th graders here this evening. 4th graders study California history, and finding diverse resources with multiple perspectives is really challenging for this area of history. Sammy has been participating in our district-wide ethnic studies program with Trisha Pelleriti, who's in here, and Rachel Rosen as well. And her students are benefiting from all of that incredible work, and all of our students are. So I'm going to let them tell you more about what they're going to tell you about tonight.
I'm going to let Amy take it away.
right now.
Hello, we are Miss Thomas class. My name is Amy, and this is Sevi, Maeve, Koa, Lucy, Lila, August, Josie, and Hannah. Today we are going to be sharing a little bit about what we've been learning in social studies this year. In 4th grade, we learned about California history. At the start of the year, we looked at the four regions of California. We start with the 4 regions so that later on this year, we understand the geography and features and how they shape where people live and their lifestyles.
Next, as we travel through history, we land on the European exploration. In history, this is often called the Age of Discovery. We studied why people wanted to come to California to explore and what impact they had on the land. As a class, we thought we should frame this as the age of encounter, since the Europeans did not discover California. We learned about the 3 Gs, which are the 3 main reasons that European explorers were motivated to come to California. The 3 Gs are God, Gold, and Glory. We come back to the 2nd G when we talk about the mission system. During the Age of Encounter, we not only learned about what motivated each of the explorers, but where they landed in California and what tribes were impacted on their arrival. Since most explorers started out in Southern California, the Kumeyaay tribe was more impacted.
150 years after Spain's last exploration of California, they decided to come back. They were worried about England or Russia getting more power. So in 1769, Caspar de Portela came back to Baja California with Father Juniper Serra. This is where the 2nd G comes into play, God. Serra wanted to teach the Christian religion to the native people and teach them the ways of the Spanish. They started in Baja California. The first mission was founded in San Diego in 1769. We added on this layer of the map that shows all of the missions and presidios.
The goal of the first mission was to have the Kumeyaay tribe adopt the Spanish way of life, to become farmers like them, to speak their language, wear clothing, and live in towns like them. They wanted the tribes to become Spanish subjects, so that the Spanish could control California without sending more people here. The Kumeyaay tribe were the first to be taken to the mission. We read primary sources of the Kumeyaay tribe members and Spanish missionaries and what life was like in the missions. As a class, we learned about the counter-narrative of history, which is when you look at history in a view that is not the dominant. In this case, it would be looking at history through the eyes of a Kumeyaay tribe member.
After reading our textbooks and primary sources, we wrote 2 letters from the perspective of a child or adult in the tribe. The first letter was the perspective of the start of the first mission, and the second letter was what life was like once the missions were established. I wrote in the perspective of an adult. Here's the part of my first letter. Aka. It's been many months since I'd seen you. I was out hunting for fish when I heard my teenage daughter and infant son screaming. There were men wearing colorful coats that surrounded them that I described as parrots, and they took them into a cage. Only as I ran to my Allah and saw my wife, brother, caretaker, my best friend, and Darrow lie on the ground, dead. So I ran to a place called a mission, had a building called a church in the center. Then I ran to a crowd of men who gave me comfortable clothes, got me food, and a house called a Playboy where my son and I lived.
Here's my first letter at the start of the mission system. I decided to write in the perspective of a child who was taken to the mission. Some of us wrote about being taken because we read an account from a tribe member in the Santa Cruz mission who said, "First were taken the children and then the parents followed. The Padres would erect a hut and light candles to say mass, and the Indians, attracted by the light, thinking they were stars, would approach and be taken. These would bring in others, such as relatives. This was one of the primary sources we used to help think about our letters. Here's my first letter. Haga, you must be wondering where I have gone. I was out in the woods looking for acorns, and then I heard Nitley in the top call out to me in the distance, run to the village. I don't do as they said because I saw them hoisted up into a strange box that when other people hit animals attached to it started moving. I followed it to a strange place that was like an awa, but bigger and with hundreds of people unlike I had ever seen before. They saw me looking at the strange place and came over to speak to me in a language I could not understand. When I refused to come with them, they picked me up and took me to the strange place. I saw Nitley and the tot and managed to squirm free and run over to them. The new people give me strange goopy food and drink. They changed my bark shirt to itchy wool that covered everything except my head and hands. I don't know how we were lucky enough to come here, but this might be good for us.
We also read accounts about the clothing that the Kumeyaay were given to wear in the missions. Here's a first-hand account from Lorenzo Asaro, a tribe member from the Santa Cruz mission. He says, the Indians were dressed with pantaloons of coarse wool and a blanket over their shoulders. The woman wore a skirt of the same materials and also a wool blanket. We had no shoes or hats. In our letters, we took inspiration from the wool clothing. Here's a part of my first letter when the Kumeyaay member is brought to the mission for the first time. At the top of the building, there was a giant T. There were so many rooms. We walked along the corridor and many fields of fruits and vegetables. They took me to a room and gave me food and drink. It was a small room, a very unusual sleeping place. They told me to wear itchy wool. We obeyed because we did not want to be disrespectful. The men took us to the fields and told us to even out the ground and plant seeds in a straight line. This is what they call a mission. Even if these people and this place are odd, this could be a good new way of life.
Here's the last portion of my letter. I have been going to church a lot, and if I didn't, I would be punished. I've been taught to pray, and a few smarter people have been taught to read and write. Some other people also had been taught to play instruments. I'm worried about what the future will be like now.
Now we are going to read our second letter and how the Kumeyaay might have felt towards the end of the mission system. When we were thinking about these letters, we were looked at life for the Kumeyaay and what was happening years after the mission were established. Life was strict in the missions and sometimes violent. Some Kumeyaay members did not want to give up their old life and culture, so they followed their old beliefs in secret. However, if someone broke the rules like this it could mean punishment. Here is my letter. It has been many moons since I wrote back to you. I advise you not to come here. It has gotten worse. We all have to garden and clean. I maybe thought you could come here, but you'll not be able to leave. We have tried countless times. Many people have gotten sick over the past, our friends, family, and more. We have to go to what they call church every day and listen to stories I cannot understand. We can't be ourselves, so I advise you not to come here.
Also, at the end of the mission system, there were a lot of disease. The Spanish had germs that were deadly to the Kumeyaay because they ran out of the air. Diseases killed thousands of natives throughout California. The population of tribe members in this mission system dropped from 72,000 to 18,000 from the year 1769 to the year 1834. This was also something we talked about before writing our letters. Here's a part of my second letter. I do not think you should come here anymore. They are treating us like prisoners. We can't leave without permission. If we try to sneak away, they will hurt us. Half of our people have passed. A lot of our people have become ill and gone to a better place. I think it's a matter of time before I pass too.
Here's my final letter. It was a scam. We fell right into their trap. Every day they made us do our chores. We were obliged to go to church and worship. Our people were always getting sick with high fever. If we tried to leave without asking, we would get beat up. What felt like half of us got killed off by the mission life. A lot of us tried rebelling, including mine in Italy and mine in Tat. Another thing is, the chores got worse. We had to learn how to worship. Food became scarce for us, and people began to starve. We worked for them, and they didn't pay us. Apart from us getting sick, there were no doctors to help us. I really hope life gets better for us. Through these letters and other projects, we've looked through history with a different lens. We've learned about California history this year,
Thank you for listening to our mission letters in our presentation.
Thank you all so much for coming here and sharing what you guys have been learning in your classrooms this year. It sounds like you guys have learned a lot, and not only learned about history, but clearly you guys were writing as well and putting all that together. I had some questions. Does anybody else have some questions though before we start? No? Okay. So what really surprising thing did you learn about the mission system? Like, what surprised you most? Go ahead.
Is that start, there was 72,000, then at the end, there was 18,000.
That's like 75% of the people not there.
You're right.
Yeah. I have a question. First of all, it's the best part of the job is to see what you guys do. We don't get to see this kind of stuff, so this is awesome. Let me ask you guys, how did it make you feel when you learned about people who were just here a couple hundred years before you were here, imagining that was your families? Did anybody have like a feeling, like to really think of what it must feel like to say, yeah, come here, and then totally maybe you didn't want to stay there and you couldn't? Yeah, what do you think?
Maybe stress.
Stress? Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like anxious and sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It kind of made me feel like really sad and bad for them. And yeah.
Yeah. You know, made me think about when I saw you guys as like if you were that age and your parents were, you guys were Native Americans and you did wrong, how like our history of our state, but we all see if we say that California's the best. Well, California didn't get to be the best without going through a lot of pretty crazy stuff. And learning about history is also learning about how to not repeat history. And learning how that must have been really hard for some people that were your age back then. You can take those lessons and recognize how you got here. So that was one of my biggest real time. Appreciate it.
I have no questions except who's this gentleman in the tie? I've never seen this guy without a hat on and a button. Is that a jacket, sir? Can you please explain yourself?
And that's Kella.
I went business mode.
You went business mode. Well, it looks very nice, Kella.
And I went business mode on vacation mode.
I was buying
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you all
It's
so
all
much.
our pleasure.
All right. So, well, before you go, what we would love is part of what you all get to do when you come do a spotlight on your school and on your class is you get to come sit up in these seats, because one day you might very well want to be a school superintendent, business manager, assistant superintendent, director of student services, or one of these very important roles here, a board of trustee. So would you want to come all back on this side?
Yeah.
All right, come on.
And then we will need a volunteer. Let's see. All right, you're gonna get that. Okay, we'll get a couple of volunteers then. Okay. All right, so hang on. Oh wait, I don't know how. You're a born board president. How did you know?
What? That's it. What? There's the gavel and then there's the book.
Yeah, and so what you're gonna have? Wait, you gotta call the meeting to order. Call the meeting to order.
Meeting's going to order.
Wonderful. All right. So that was the volunteer position. Anybody else want to be the board president?
Kella.
All right. And then pass it along so all of your friends.
Here.
My friends like their friends. Actually, they
It's a tough job.
What should we do today?
order in the court. All right. Well, a board meeting. The board president is going to call the meeting to order and bang the gavel and then call the meeting adjourned. That means when the meeting is ending, and then they bang the gavel again. All right. So thank you so much. We got some great board presidents so far. You want to do it? All right.
You can end the meeting right now.
Don't think you can end the meeting. Just to let you know.
Calling to order.
3 times.
All right.
right. Thank you. Anybody else want to do it? Okay.
Order.
All right. Well, you did a great job. You know why? Because all of the members present today, everybody from our community, they're already in order, right? Great job. Look what you did. You both. Yeah. Excellent work. Okay, and then there's something else that we do every time students come to present, and that is we have a little something for you because you gave up part of your evening to come here, and it was really important. And it is, as Trustee O'Neill said, one of the most important fun things that we get to do at board meetings is when we have student presentations. So thank you so much. You all know what this is?
It's more fun than a board meeting.
It might be more fun than a board meeting. Yes. So we're coming here to right here. All right. There you go. There's one for you. One for you. Thank you. Now, I'm not sure if your parents or guardians are going to want to take you tonight. You can ask.
You guys get one photo of everyone
And yes.
together.
Oh, yes. Sammy is part of it. And Amanda up here too. Oh,
I was going to take a photo.
Eric will take a picture. All right, everybody.
I'm going to try and convert it to
Y'all in me?
All these parents want pictures.
All right, 1, 2, and
Stay here after episode.
then I'm gonna move out of the way.
There you go.
Look at that crowd.
Which chair?
Your paparazzi.
Which camera do we look at? Okay. Wow.
Where are you going?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you all, parents and guardians and family members. Thank you so much for having your students be here tonight with us. They did an amazing job, great public speaking, great efforts with their writing and all of their work, and they are learning math concepts and skills. Awesome work.
Thank you.
Good to see you all. And you're more than welcome to stay for the board meeting if you want, but yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. Can I give that like this? Okay. Yes.
Okay. After that awesome presentation, we are moving on with our agenda. So we are moving on to item E, recognition and reception. So tonight we have recognition of Ross Valley School District's 2024 Golden Bell Honorees and Nominees. So Marcy, go ahead.
All right, this is another one of the most exciting events that we have at any of our Board of Trustee meetings, and that's when we can honor and recognize staff. So this item tonight is to honor and recognize our Golden Bells for the 2023-24 school year. And the Golden Bell is also an annual countywide ceremony. And this year, the ceremony takes place on Thursday, May 23rd, at 4:30 at Dominican University at Angelico Hall. And each school district gets to select one certificated employee, and that could be a teacher, faculty member. A faculty member is like a school counselor, the school nurse as an example, and then and so any member of the certificated service. And then for classified employees, and those are our folks who don't have credentials, we can select up to 4. So every district gets a certain allotment for the county, but because we feel very strongly that we'd like to recognize at least one person from every school site, that we also choose our own in-house Golden Bells. So we also have our classified employees, one from every site, and then of those we select our allotted 4 to go to the countywide ceremony in May to receive the actual Golden Bell. And then this year, as part of the Golden Bell Award ceremony, is every school district can choose a school volunteer, a school partner. And this year, we have again selected one of those partners. So tonight, we're here to acknowledge and honor all of our employees, but most particularly tonight is our Golden Bells and all of our community partners, but more specifically tonight, the one that we have selected for this school year. And so we're just going to do a brief announcement about each of these selections, and then we'll move into just a short reception following. And we're so glad to see so many of you here. I'm seeing folks who aren't necessarily getting the Golden Bell this year, but they're here to cheer on and to be part of their community and with the other members of their staff and to support our Golden Bells. So this is a fabulous turnout. Thank you all so very much. And I love to see also bringing kids. It's awesome. It's so much fun. So thank you so very much for everything that you do for the Ross Valley Schools. And so with that, let's see. We think we have everybody, almost Julie. We'll get started. And so we'll go a little bit out of order in the event that Miss Harris does come in. So Brookside, would you like to? And maybe we can have all the principals up. Yep. And come on up. You don't mind public speaking, do you? You know, any of you. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, very good. All right. And so take it away, Amanda.
We're doing certificated first, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm super proud to be here to honor Carly Shakwa, our school. Write things down so that anyone forget. Carly is an incredibly thoughtful, collaborative, and solution-oriented educator. Sometimes I forget she's only at Brookside part-time because her impact is so great. She supports all students, colleagues, and families in every way that she possibly can. She handles challenging and sensitive conversations with professionalism and grace. And this year, she has taken on countless additional responsibilities to support our special education program. She is nothing short of amazing, and I honestly don't know what we would do without her. Thank you, Carly.
Right. I also wrote things down, which I usually don't, but I'm feeling a little verklempt. I kind of had an emotional day today, so I didn't want to cry, and it still might happen, but I don't want to do it. So I'm going to read. So you know the quote, "You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think." It's a familiar quote by Christopher Robin, but also embodied by Cindy Credo in her TK classroom. The Golden Bell represents the best of us, both the professional and the personal. I'm thrilled that Cindy Credo is Hidden Valley's selection this year. She is the best of us, both professionally and personally. You are familiar with the phrase, love is a verb? Well, as we know in this room, so is teach. Cindy has the unique combination of being action-oriented and a deep thinker. Her actions with students, parents, and colleagues are intentional and authentic. She holds a plethora of experience and knowledge of young children and intertwines it with the pedagogy of permaculture. That working with nature and understanding our connectedness to the greater world, we connect with and nurture the best of who we are for the benefit of the community. She acts on this in small moments in the classroom, at staff meetings by advocating for the students, and in quiet meetings with a colleague. She believes in the wealth of connectedness. She not only inspires the little people she spends the day with, but she shares and invites us to all learn and grow along with her. We are so proud and honored to work with you, Cindy. Thank you for making this.
Girls on the run, too.
All right, well, after that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and wing it, but I have some notes here. But we're here to honor from Manor School, Pete Santucci. Believe it or not, we go through who has gotten the Golden Bell each year, and we sort of go through, and
somehow you slipped through because 19 years. But I think partly is because the RVSD music program was selected one year and you were a big part of that. So just wanted to give that.
It's basically his second.
Exactly. Second, and you deserve it because I think most of you know Pete Santucci is the heart and soul of our music program here in RVSD. And you know, not only when you walk in his classroom, the kids are engaged in dynamic, engaging music lessons from music theory to learning how to read music to dance. It's just such a joy to go into his classroom and to see what he does. And not only does he do this with his students, K through 5. Do you teach middle school at all?
No.
Not at
I'm there a lot.
Yeah. But he's a lead teacher in the district and works really closely with all of the music teachers and has created a fantastic K through 8 program here at RVSD. Also, I just want to give a shout out, Pete, for what you have done in terms of looking at our music program through an equity lens and really shifting what we're doing so that our program is rich, it's cultural, it's responsive to all different backgrounds, and you did such a beautiful job over the past few years, really shifting that, but keeping the joy and keeping the love and the rigor. So we appreciate you, and I know this is not just from Manor, but from all my colleagues here in our take away from Mr. Century, but I do want to say that Carly is at Manor, and we also just adore you, and we are so proud of you, and are happy and gracious that you're here in our district as well. So,
Love is intimate.
All right, Mary Claire Mold from Whitehall has the honor today of celebrating Amber Wild, our 7th and 8th grade ELD teacher, after school tutoring program and mentor for students. I want to share there's so many things to be appreciative of, Amber, but one of the things that sets you apart from so many of your colleagues is the deep, deep connections that you build with students. You have this ability to develop those kinds of connections with kids that not only are you able to work with the students across the spectrum, but you are able to help bring out the best in them and able to help them push past any perceived limitations that they have about themselves. Repeatedly, you can ask students who their favorite teacher is, and if they've got you for English, it is Miss Wild. And if they don't have you yet, they're asking, can I get Miss Wild next year for English? You really embody in your classroom culturally responsive teaching practices, using the connections that you have with students to bring the curriculum to life for them, to build connections and meaning for them. And it really has an impact on their learning, right? The outcomes that we see on CASP results for students in 7th and 8th grade, that is from the hard work that you've done, not only with your students, but also with your collaborative nature with your colleagues, and really centering, data and those practices to really help move the needle and push kids forward. So we want to replicate you. We want to make sure that that you're here with us for a long time, and we are thrilled to have the opportunity to honor you today.
And we have one more certificate of Ray Thomas. We're on certificates.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we are so pleased at Wade Thomas to honor Rachel Solis. She is an outstanding, incredible educator. She has the wonderful job of working with all of our students at Wade Thomas, and specifically those with IEPs, individual education plans. And for those of you that know, you have to actually go through a process to get these special individualized plans, which also means you need some specialized academic instruction. And Rachel has that beautiful way of finding exactly what it is that students need to work on, and then honing in and making it fun and stick, because her kids learn and grow. And for many of them, they're able to move on to new goals and sometimes out of the specialized academic instruction, and it's truly incredible. she's not just a leader in this area, which imagine, she's a leader all throughout our school. You'll often find her in classrooms, collaborating with her peers, helping teachers figure out what's the best way to support all of their learners, and especially those with IEPs. That's a genuine, unique soul that can navigate those waters so beautifully. She's also a leader with our students. She co-facilitates our student council, and we've done some really incredible things, and we're doing even more. And she jumps in with anything. She's so much fun. She has some hidden talents. She sings and dances and makes it really fun for kids, but also for adults. So if you ever wonder why we have some really great choreographed numbers for our variety show, you can thank Rachel. But I think you'll find her quiet leadership and her strong leadership is this beautiful balance that she navigates all throughout our day and our school year. She's a leader for equity. She takes the initiative to help us take a look at ourselves and do our personal work so that we can actually lead our students. And she models lessons in classrooms. Really, she's an overall exceptional human being, and we're really lucky to have her. And she was a clear honoree and choice for us at Wade Thomas. Rachel, we are thrilled and so grateful to work with you.
Alrighty, and now we will move on to classified employees. Julie, do you want to take it for Wade Thomas?
Well, there you are. We are so honored. See, I kind of feel like Wade Thomas is honoring Johnny Van Houten, but Johnny is like honored by Johnny is lead of maintenance, and he is known at Wade Thomas as Mr. Fix-It, but I'm sure he's known at home as that. When we've got a problem, Johnny is there, and he's there with like a positive attitude, a can-do attitude, and he's there to get the job done. And even if that means it's like multiple visits, he's going to get that job done. And he does it with this beautiful, like, smile and positivity. Would, like many of us, would be super frustrated. He doesn't outwardly show it. Maybe he feels that way. But I mean, what a great role model for kids, right? That you can persevere through really difficult problems and take it to the end. And he is just so wonderful in that way. There's nothing that he won't try and actually fix. And we started our school year honoring Johnny because he was one of like the people that really took so much time to help us prepare this wall that needed a lot more work than we thought it did in order to do a beautiful community mural. And he, like every student, is just grateful to him. And we're so happy to end our year honoring you. And I would be remiss if I didn't read some remarks that were shared by your partner in crime and your boss. Des. Which boss? It's true. Right? Yeah. I was like, I didn't send you You're one of your 25 bosses. Says he is thorough, personable, willing to tackle any job or project, keeps adding arrows of expertise to his quiver of skills. Oh, we love you, Johnny.
Poets.
We love you.
Okay, my turn. So tonight we're honoring Tahereh Silcock. She's right here, over here. Say hello. So I bet you think the most challenging job in the school district is superintendent. But actually, I would argue, many of us would, that a one-on-one aide is what your job is probably one of the most challenging jobs. Sometimes a student needs extra support from an adult, and Tahereh is there. She is not only, I would describe Tahereh as earnest, caring, and innovative. She's just very, very committed to her job. She's built an incredible relationship with the student with whom she works and with the family. and with the classroom teacher. She's committed, she's dedicated. I mean, I just remember you being in my office and we were talking about the zones of regulation, and she took my book and she put notes on every page. I was trying to embarrass you. I was so impressed. I mean, you're just terrific. And we are so lucky to have you at Manor School, and the children are so lucky to have you. And yes, we just want to honor you tonight, and we're looking forward to honoring you at the Golden Bell in a couple weeks.
John Baker from White Hill. I want to honor another instructional aide, and this role is critical to classroom and how they function and support for students, and it's especially true of a middle school. So Mark Solario is our instructional aide. Part of the challenge is in middle school, and with middle schoolers especially, an adult approaching them, trying to help them. They're like, "Get out of here! What are you doing?" And so it's vital to form a connection first. And just have that warmth. And Mark absolutely embodies that. And the students who he works with, you can tell, love being around him, choose to interact with him. He just has that personality, and he's very supportive of teachers and the principal. So he's another set of eyes and ears for us, and he often comes and tells us things that he sees on the yard, which we absolutely respect and helps us so much. Teachers said that he's one of the aides, not only appreciate him, but want to be around him. The students in their free time. He's kind, thoughtful, available to students, good-natured, great sense of humor, brightens everyone's day. He always has a smile on his face. And fun fact, he was in a 90s music video. So he also has an actor.
Excellent. So I'm here to honor Mimi, and unfortunately she could not be here tonight. She has 3 kids, busy boys. And one of my personal all-time favorite authors, famous for the Piggy and Elephant books, if you know those, Mo Willems. He said that all the awesome life-changing words and pictures and ideas in books are useless without just one word outside the library: open. Mimi is our classified librarian, and she created her schedule so that the library would be accessible to students at the most amount of time. So during their morning recess, the library is open. During lunch recess, the library is open. If another class is in there, the library is open. It's a space that's safe for anyone to come in. If they want to read a book or they don't want to read a book, they just want to hang out. She's made it available for everyone. And not only that, she's created a library that represents the diversity within our community and beyond, so that children have a window into other people's lives and can really build their curiosity and be who they are. And it's just a really beautiful place. So thank you, Mimi.
All right, and Brookside is so excited to honor Shay Johnson. Shay is our resource program aide, and she is the constant in that space. We've had some challenging times this year, and Shay shows up every day. She creates a space that is safe and welcoming and welcomes students, all of our students, with open arms. I hear constantly from teachers how their students are just so excited to go and see Shay and go to room 5. So thank you, Shay, for being so flexible and so patient and so caring, and not only being there for our students, but our whole team. The amount of collaboration that you do with general education teachers and other special education professionals on our campus is really spectacular. And we are so, so lucky to have you. Thank you.
And last but not least, not a school site, but we do have one more site in the district, and that's here at the district office. And so Eric Sable, our Director of Student Services, will acknowledge our classified personnel for the district office.
That's right. This individual I'm gonna save the name to the end. How about that? Is that okay? All this, like, we're gonna say the name to start. Like, so this individual, not just for me, but for people across our 5 schools, and for all these other places that we connect with and liaise with, from other school districts and charter schools and private schools, and there's paperwork coming and going, materials being ordered that then have to be distributed. Everybody's calendar somehow falls to this person to figure out, and they only get frustrated like 1% of the time. There's 3, 4, 5 different instances every day where I say, is this it? Am I done here? Is it all over for me? And this individual helps kind of pick me up out of the puddle that I'm in. So it's not yet. You got a little more mileage left. And it's really just impressive to work with someone that really takes care of so many people with such generosity and humor. Somebody that just has such a great way to connect with people. She's also worked at one of our school sites in the front office. And she takes that front office, I'm going to meet and greet and make everybody feel comfortable. And she now blankets that across our whole district. And it doesn't just mean that special education works instead of not works. It means that for so many other aspects of our operation of the district. Meredith Woodward, the bomb. Actually, there's one other group of people too. May 1st is School Principals Day. And I want to acknowledge these 6 incredible my forever respect. Thank you.
You could cry with me if you want.
I'll get there later tonight, believe me.
All right, and our last honoree this evening, but not least, of course, is our community partner group, and that is tonight, Safe Routes to Schools. All of you probably know who Safe Routes to School is, right, and what they do. But they are the group that helps to ensure that our children, our families are finding safe ways to school and making them fun. They not only do walk, ride, and roll school days, but they also put out information so that we know what is the frequency with which, how many cars are actually on the road, taking kids to and from school, and looking at ways always. The feedback and input that they provide have helped. As an example, there is now a sidewalk on the backside of the Brookside on the Alameda that was never there. And that's due to Safe Routes coming in and taking a look at and partnering with the school to say what are the needs that the school has to ensure that kids can get on and off the campus safely. It was a fun fact that I learned when I contacted One Pro, is that Manor School was the very first school in the country to host Safe Routes to School. Wow. And who would have known that right here in Ross Valley that Safe Routes to School was born. And all of our schools embrace and their work with partner agencies to ensure that, because every school district has a Safe Routes group. And then within the larger group of Safe Routes, at every school site, there are parent volunteers who help support all of the activities. And so Safe Routes is the governing organization, if you will, is the Transportation Authority of Marin. So their reach is very broad, and that accordion model of what they do and what they're able to accomplish isn't just them alone. Wendy, I remember you way back when I first started in the school district 32 years ago. And you were working, I don't know at what point, I was assistant principal at White Hill, and I remember where you became involved. And there was this woman talking to us about how do we get more kids to ride their bikes to school.
And that's one of my very first conversations I remember with you. Safe routes, was it early 2000s? Year 2000. All right, so 24 years that Safe Routes to School has been in play. We have some representatives from the Transportation Authority of Marin and Safe Routes to School here with us tonight, and they will also receive the Golden Bell May 23rd. So we have Scott McCollum from Transportation Authority of Marin. Other members who I remember are Gwen Froh and Lou Goodwin. And because when you were a parent in our schools,
yes,
and Lou, were you? I'm not the man.
We were both parents.
Yeah, both of you. Okay, so both former parents of our schools, and look, they're still at it, volunteering, giving their time and supporting safety in schools and supporting children and families. So, Lou Goodwin and Gwen Froh and Wendy Callens, thank you all so very much for everything you do every single day and the partnership that we have. We have roughly quarterly meetings where we meet and we talk about situations that are arising. Safe Routes always wants to know from the school district, what are you seeing? What are you experiencing? There are open meetings. We've been holding ours via Zoom, but they're open meetings. So we oftentimes have representatives from the schools participate in those meetings too. And that's where these ideas get generated around what more do schools need to help ensure safety. And so, and as I said, they do it with fun. Remember years where there was that wheel trophy for the number of riders, walkers, rollers to school. There was the wheel. There was a big foot too. At one point, right? They came through. So
Kids take the scanning very seriously. It's a whole thing. It's
scanning, yes. And so, yes, the scanning. And so we're looking forward to many more years of partnership with Safe Routes. And so thank you for everything that you do. Alrighty, so with that, I think we're ready to have a nice reception. Let's all enjoy some cookies and some drinks.
We do a photo. We do the photo first.
Yes. Oh, yes. Sorry. So just like we do when we have our spotlights on schools with students, we would love all of our golden bells to come up.
Ring ding ding.
And all of our administrators to come out. Ding ding
She gets enough attention.
All right, thank you. And we are going to be moving on. Congratulations to all of our Golden Bell winners. The next item in our agenda tonight is communications. The first item is public comment regarding items not on the public open session agenda, or not on the open session agenda. Can't talk. I have one comment card here for items not on the agenda. Christina Workman. So, yeah.
I didn't hear my name, but other people heard my name, so I'm coming up. Is that okay? Okay. Well, these chairs are entertaining. Okay, they're just entangled up here. 2 chairs stuck together. But I won't let that use up my time. Thank you, Chris. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Good evening. Christina Workman, 3rd grade teacher from Hidden Valley. I'm actually reading a letter on behalf of a Hidden Valley parent who couldn't be here tonight as it's her son's 9th birthday. Danny writes, 2 weeks ago, I attended the RVSD board meeting Q&A session. As you know, it was a charged meeting highlighted by Trustee O'Neill's unsettling comments. As a reminder, number 1, during a discussion on the expense of special ed programming, he declared, quote, "We have an abnormal number of special kids in our district," end quote. I am concerned by how an elected leader spoke about our highest need students. Number 2, towards the end of the meeting, after calling out the board's reluctance to look outside of the box for funding, Trustee O'Neill responded with, quote, "If we can open the kimono, so to speak, this can be heard," end quote. This can be heard at the 2-hour, 2-minute, and 20-second mark. Honestly, I'm still at a loss for what he was trying to achieve with this culturally and sexually insensitive comment. From class curriculum to parent education, RVSD states to be committed to anti-racism and equity. As our board members should be held to the highest standards, here are a few recommendations for continued education. National Equity Project, Leading for Equity Workshop, Beyond Diversity, that was just hosted at MCOE last month. Part of your governance work, do your own DEIB professional development work during a board workshop, and bring in a trained consultant such as Deborah McKnight, Dr. Watson, who is leading the RVSD parent group. I hope you are genuinely committed to this work in your own education. With concern, Danielle Kestenbaum. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I have no other comment cards for that. So moving on is item correspondence and communication to the board, item 2. We have some email exchanges there. I'm sure my colleagues have read them, as have I. So thank you for sending us your communications. The next item on our agenda is G, presentation and or action items. The first item there is the recommended approval of the tentative agreement between the Ross Valley School District Board of Trustees and the Ross Valley Teachers Association to resolve negotiations for the 2023-24 school year and the AB 1200 disclosure.
Alrighty, so tonight we have our approval of the tentative agreement with our Ross Valley Teachers Association. And while we did reach agreement, I want to say that none of us, I know, are thrilled with the amount that we were able to give this year, and we are actively working on ensuring that we can increase our revenues and decrease our expenses so that in the future we can be providing more of an increase to our beloved teachers and our very valued teachers. And so we did, though, settle for 23-24. We reached agreement. The membership of our VTA has ratified the agreement. So before you this evening is the approval of the tentative agreement. And also as part of this, we must, under the AB 1200, is be able to complete a form, which we have sent to Chris, completed it, sent it to Marin County Office of Ed, who responded that they agree that we can meet our third year out based on this offer and this agreement that we've reached. And with that, then we were able to put it on tonight's agenda. So we have the total package value of the settlement represents an increase to compensation and health and welfare benefits equaling 3.85% or $471,756. Of this amount, we did have a off-schedule agreement of $500. So that of that total amount that I just read, I don't have my glasses, $65,473 is a one-time cost. And then below we've itemized. We also have attachments which show the tentative agreement, the signed tentative agreement. We have the revised salary schedules that were part of this approval. And we also have attached the AB 1200. So, and then the breakdown of it is what we agreed to was a $2,000 increase to all cells on the certificated salary schedules. We have 2. There's one for the majority of the certificated service, and then a separate one which has the speech and language pathologists and our school psychologists on it. We did move this year the speech pathologists off of the salary schedule 1 onto that salary schedule 2. So that has the 2 positions on that. And we also removed some steps off of the salary schedule 1. So odd numbers, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, and 19 on salary schedule 1. So we went from a 22-step salary schedule down to a 16-step. So anybody who was currently sitting on, let's just use for an example, the step 9 as an example. Since that one was eliminated, then they're moving to step 10 for this year. So there might, in some cases, for some of the membership, there was a little bit more of a bump in the increase because of the removal of the steps. So that also comes with a cost of removing those because we did have to move folks down onto the next step. So that total cost there represents 0.36%. And as I mentioned, the $500 off schedule, so that's a one-time off schedule amount, and that represents 0.53. And then we cover the rate of the employee-only health and welfare at the Kaiser for medical and Delta Dental for dental insurance, that represents 0.83. And so the total compensation, total package value of that is 3.85%. And as I mentioned, the with the attachments there. Does anybody have any questions here?
That percentage cost is an increase of $471,756. Does that include the $65,473?
It does, yeah. So, in just of that total, the 471,000, that's 65,000 is represents just one time.
I had a question. So, if you were on the last step of the salary schedule, you'd be getting the $2,000 increase here.
Yes, and so now that that salary schedule is step 16, that step, which was 22, is now step 16. So under the 22-23, it was 113,000. The 2,000 was applied to that, so it's 115 and whatever 100.
Okay.
Yeah, the remainder of that is that. So
collapsing this, they get up to that number faster.
Yes, and that So it is helpful to membership because you don't have to, if you're coming in, if you were a brand new teacher coming into the district, you don't have to go all the way through year 22 in the district to reach highest maximum salary. It now takes 16 years to do that. And then as you'll remember on the salary schedule too, we have classes, we call them, which is where there's like a bachelor's degree plus 30 units. Beyond the bachelor's plus 45, plus 60, plus 75. And then, and so you can move what we call over on the salary schedule too with the more units that you have. And then, of course, there's a stipend. This wasn't part of the agreement this year, but folks have a stipend for any advanced degrees as well. But that wasn't part of the settlement, but that's the basis for the salary schedule. Part of what we did also is we created longevity for the salary schedule 2. So that salary schedule for speech and language pathologists and for the school psychologists has 4 steps on it. And so we built in longevity. So when they're in the school district, got it off the top of my head, 7 years, there's a 5% bump to salary. And then after the 10th year in the school district, there's another 5%. And that's all of this is retroactive back to July 1, 2023. So for this current school year.
It is year 7 and 10, like you said.
7 and 10. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Karen, for holding up fingers for me.
And then when are we anticipating the retros going into paychecks? So when people get them?
That's a great question. So the way that it works is CalSTRS has some rules around how things must get applied. So we first have to pay the employees the new salary rate. There has to be at least 1 month in the regular paycheck. So at the end of January, what am I saying? It's May we're already in. At the end of May.
At the end of June.
At the end of June. Yes, sorry. It takes time to process because what payroll has to do is go back and recalculate. Because also what happens as part of our settlement is what we negotiated in last year was the hourly rate. So for if a person does anything outside of their contract time on a timesheet, as an example, that rate is $50 an hour. That's what we set last year. And then what is also part of that agreement was any increase in the out year, so any year thereafter, gets applied to that $50. So all of the timesheets for the year need to get redone so that there would be a retro. But any of the regular pay will be June end of month, and then the retro will come at the mid-July. Which is around the 15th, if I remember. I forget the exact pay date. Do you remember, Karen?
I think it's the 22nd.
Is it the 27th of July? Okay.
20.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can we just make sure that's clear? Because I think that was an issue last year where people weren't sure when those paychecks were going to come through. And so just whatever it is, those dates are set so everybody knows.
Them. I provided them to Karen. Okay. And so getting them out to all the membership. And what came up last year, which was more difficult, was we had everything planned and set, but then there was a medical situation that came up, and we were unable to, for our payroll person to be able to put that, so we had to push it out. So that threw that out.
And there is also another challenge. We have to do our retros on the retro payroll by the county because we run everything through the County Office of Education, and they have a specific schedule. So the payroll we're running it through is the one in July. There's actually not one in June at all. So I think a lot of it has to do with it being year end. So
I just want to make sure that communication is clear so people know what to expect when.
Yep. It's happening.
especially over the summer. Cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So there's no more board questions. I'm going to take it out to public comment now. So I have 2 cards here. 3 cards. Okay. So if you just want to come up and grab a chair, I think they've only got spots for 2 people. So Gina Davis and Deanna Sotive. Go for it.
My name is Gina Davis, and I'm here as a parent and educator to continue advocating for our teachers and staff at our school sites. Although an agreement was reached for salary negotiations for this year, teachers reluctantly accepted. It was a pressure situation to accept in order to avoid falling behind and prolonging the next negotiations for the following 3 years. Last week, Danny Kestenbaum spoke about the need to get rid of the Me Too clause. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's when the district office management gets the same percentage raises as the teachers and classified staff, even though the teachers are the ones who have done the heavy lifting. At the last board meeting Q&A, I appreciate that Trustee Litwack said that the board would look into reevaluating the Me Too clause in our district. There are several reasons why the Me Too does not make sense, especially given that you are all communicating that we are hurting for money. District office management earn a ton more money than teachers already. A beginning teacher's salary is $61,288, while some of the district office administrators make up to $300,000. I do not know the exact number because it is very difficult to find the most current information anywhere. Last year, our teachers fought long and hard for a 14% increase, which they did not get because it was not in the budget. If they had gotten the 14% increase, a first-year teacher would end up with an $8,580 increase before taxes. An administrator making $300,000 would end up with $36,000. The higher the increase percentage, the more money the district has to pay out exponentially. No wonder there wasn't enough money to go around. That $36,000 could have been used for almost 4 teacher salary increases. But even with last year's 10% and this year's 2 point whatever it was, we still aren't at 14% and still are not competitive with other Marin teacher salaries. This is a problem and should be considered. District office management should have their own salary schedule based on merit and performance. When teachers are fighting for cost of living to pay for rent, car expenses, and support their families, someone who makes in the hundreds of thousands should not also be getting the same percentage as those who are fighting for cost of living and to have a comparable wage among other teachers in Marin, especially when the district is hurting for money. I have researched the Me Too clause. Some districts have it and many do not. For those that do have it, I have been encouraged by other districts whose management have turned down the clause. 7 days ago, the executives in the Pleasanton Unified School District turned down their Me Too raise. This clearly shows their management acknowledges where their district is financially and values its certificated and classified employees who make a lot less. I am hoping you will consider taking out the Me Too clause for upper management. And also, I would like to get a sense of what others are feeling in terms of this Me Too clause. I'm wondering if all those that are in favor of getting rid of the Me Too clause, please stand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Deanna Sotive. I'm Hidden Valley second grade teacher. I want to thank the board for your service to the district. I'm actually reading a statement on behalf of my colleague, Anna Schnell. She has 3 kids, her husband's out of town, and it's her birthday. But she took the time to write this. My name is Anna Schnell, and I've been teaching at RVSD for 20 years. I am not able to be at the board meeting, but I want to address some concerns that I have. First of all, I want you to know that this raise feels like a defeat, and it feels bad to be defeated by the district that I have dedicated nearly all my career and almost half my life. I'm at the top of the pay scale, which is the second lowest supermax in the entire county. I also want to address the retroactive pay. We approved the tentative agreement in mid-April, and you will approve it tonight, hopefully, but we will not receive the payment for our year until after the school year is done in mid-July. That is not okay. Last year, we did not even receive the retro check until after the 2023-24 school year began. There were 4 people listed in our business department on the district website, but you were unable to pay your hardworking teachers until 3 months after the tentative agreement was reached. This is part of a broader problem that paying our teachers a livable income is not a priority for this district. It is rare that we start a school year with a contract that is already agreed upon. This usually results in us paying out of pocket for the health and welfare increases until a contract is agreed upon. This also means that you're going to job fairs, the district going to job fairs and trying to hire over the summer with the previous year's pay scales and going up against other districts that have already agreed upon a salary for the next year. We are already near the bottom of pay, and this makes us look even lower. I hope that you plan to negotiate in good faith later this month with an intention to start the school year with a set contract rather than just postpone us and our needs into the upcoming year. Thank you.
I have Erica. Thank you. It's okay. Erica Stieg and Trisha Pelleriti.
Mine's really short. Really short? I have nothing prepared. Hi, Erica Stieg, Wade Thomas, 2nd grade. I came to talk on behalf of my heart. I agreed to ratify RTA, but not with a good heart. It felt like a little bit of a slap in the face. We worked really hard to try and get more. We got our parents behind us. We had the kids behind us. We had all the teachers behind us. We are building something to acknowledge where we are. And so I just want to say in good faith that we are still going to keep working for what we think we deserve. We do deserve more, and we want you to be behind us, and we want you to help us get there, but we're not giving up.
Trisha Pelleriti. I teach 3rd grade at Brookside. I've been here to support my colleagues. I was very excited as a previous parent of a student in Sammy Hundley's class. It makes me so proud to have had a student go through her classroom and to be one of her colleagues. And I was so excited to listen to so many previous students also speak here and watch their enthusiasm. And I am so proud to stand amongst the Golden Bell winners. This evening has been one of celebrations. This agreement feels like it brings those celebrations to a skidding halt. Tonight has exemplified the dedication of RVSD teachers. And then there's the salary offer that continues to show how the board chooses to spend money and how it chooses to reward its teachers. I'm one of many teachers who reluctantly accepted this offer with the hope and drive to make you plan for us first. Stop making us an afterthought. Thank you.
Karen Testator.
Good evening. I am Karen Testator. I am the current president of the Ross Valley Teachers Association. As you probably all know, this is my last year as president. It is also my last year at the Ross Valley School District. Sorry, I'm going to be a little emotional. I've been here 18 years. I am so grateful for the support I have received over the years, the training I've received, the growth I've been able to make as an educator. I joined the union because I felt really passionately that educators should be paid for the work that they do. I came from the private sector where you got paid for the work that you did. I came into teaching and I found a lot of times teachers were doing work that they weren't getting paid for just because teachers are helpful people. They want to help people and they say yes. And that's why I got involved in this work. I think it's really important. I also realized that Ross Valley School District was not as competitive as other districts. So in my time being a bargainer, last 3 years as the president, I have been working really hard to make all of the salary schedule attractive to attract and retain educators. I know that it's hard a lot of times for people who don't have such a broad view to understand how it sometimes has to happen bit by bit. So I want to thank the board for the move this year to reduce the salary schedule and get rid of 6 steps. I don't think some people realize how significant that is in lifetime earnings. Part of the goal of doing that is because we want people to stay in the Ross Valley School District. And by removing those steps, which seems somewhat insignificant just in this year in itself, over time, it makes the district so much more attractive when there are only 22. There used to be 22, when there are only 16 steps to get through to get to that top salary. At the same time, we still have a lot of work to do. The salary schedule is not squared. So we need to do work to make sure it is squared. When we get to those higher steps, the jumps between the steps they're only like 2.4% between steps. I want to thank, that is a huge move. And I feel really passionately that was big. Oh, I'm going to talk really, really fast. Thank you for covering health and welfare 100%. I know a lot of districts do not do that. And I know it's a huge thing for people to get. It would be really great to have that ongoing and not have to fight for it every year. The last thing is the $2,000 per person, which is an average of 2.13 across the salary schedule, doesn't even come close to meet the cost of living. Our educators are essentially getting a cut in pay. And I really look forward to having this bargaining opening. We're starting the 23rd as the first bargaining date for the next year's contract, the 3-year contract. And I'm really hoping that the effort will be made to prioritize some significant changes. I know there's some with parcel tax, but some significant changes in outside the box thinking to pay educators for what they deserve. I say goodbye and thank you for the time.
All right, and thank you. Any discussion among the board? Any questions? Anything else we wanted to discuss?
I have some things to discuss. Thank you, Karen. You taught my girls. You did a lot of work. You will be missed. And I also want to reach out to the greater community to recognize that I have not had any discussion with any board member since I've been on this board for the last 6 years that didn't agree with most of the things we hear in regards to teacher salaries. And I wanted to make it very clear that we agree. So in this next cycle, as we try to find solutions, finding solutions is going to take outside the box thinking, and it's going to take participation. And in order to be successful, I don't believe a us versus them strategy will be successful. And that takes a lot of participation. And I encourage people to get involved. I encourage the math teachers to talk to our math teacher. You know, there's a lot of things that we can try to do, but I've done this 6 years in a row. And there's not one argument that did not make sense to me as a board member as to why you are grossly underpaid and how important you are. So you get it from both sides. We agree, I agree, that you are not paid a fair wage in comparison to how hard it is to live here. That I don't think anybody's disputing that. So what we have to try to work out as a team, and I mean team in the truest sense, because as soon as it becomes us versus them, names go out there, intentions get lost, trust is lost. And when I first got on this board, there was an amazing bond between the teachers and the board. And they really worked together and they really trusted what was there. And so if we're going to build this together, and it's going to be us together one way or another, we should be starting now. And people should be getting involved with understanding, like what Karen said about removing those steps is a big deal. And I don't know if most of the teachers understand that, but I do.
But it's a big deal because if you quantify how much money that is over a long period of time, that's a lot of money. And I just don't think that our board disagrees, and I don't see where all this money can come from. So for those who believe that there's this giant pot of money that we're hiding or keeping from you because we don't believe in you or trust in you, I think is patently false. So we're going to have to daylight where the money is, where it can come from, and how that affects the teachers. If we give you what you want, what that leaves the remainder and what that looks like from the years to come. Because in closing, it is irresponsible for any business to plan to give someone what they need without being able to back that math up. So I just encourage everybody to work together to find the solution, and remember that we all agree with you.
Yeah, I echo Ryan and the teachers. Yeah, we need to figure this out together as a community, right? We've got the upcoming budget advisory committee. So hopefully some teachers are planning to attend. Hopefully you can talk to the parents that are planning to attend, because it's going to take the entire community. That's it. Echoing Ryan, it's going to take all of us to figure this out. So how do we increase revenue and how do we decrease costs? That's it. So we'll see everybody at the first budget advisory committee meeting next week, right? Thank you.
Can I just add something related to the actual retro? I'm pulling up what I had sent. So the end of month payroll in June will include the updated rate of pay, the updated health and welfare benefit rate, and the retro for health and welfare benefits only. July 23rd will be the pay date for the retro, for the salaries, extra time retro, and also the $500 off schedule bonus. So that will include everything at that point.
Also, I have a clarifying question. Someone mentioned that the tentative agreement is not an authorized agreement. Is that correct? So if you're at a tentative agreement, you cannot officially start to pay that. That has to be ratified. Is that correct? Or what is the normal difference between the time that a tentative agreement is met and an actual agreement is followed? And how long is the time period that you can expect for that pay raise to take effect?
Well, you're correct in terms of not being able to pay it until it's been ratified by both the bargaining unit as well as approved at the board level. So we wouldn't be able to actually issue payments prior to that. But it also, as Marcy had explained, you have to go through the process to update everything. And it is a lengthy process.
Lengthy meaning more than 30 days?
Yes.
More than 60 days?
It can take between 60 and 90.
Okay, and that's the typical from all around, all businesses are like that?
All county
schools?
All county
schools?
Offices of education and school districts.
To be clear, a tentative agreement does not mean it does anything except you have an agreement in theory. It gets ratified by both sides. It gets voted on by the board. And it's 30 to 60, 90 days from that point, correct?
Correct.
And that's normal around the county?
Yes.
Relatively?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't take this position because I don't want to give teachers money. I grew up with public education. I grew up with teachers who were in public education. And I have a lot of friends who are teachers out here right now. And I'm not happy with this either. It's what we can afford right now. But right now I'm also looking at what we can do to make sure it's higher next year. I'm actively working on figuring out how to get a parcel tax passed. I'm actively working on setting up the budget committee with the cabinet. I'm working with Yes and promoting all the Yes events and people donating to that. I understand that we don't have the money right now, but I want to have the money next year. And that means with our May negotiations or whatever, I'm hoping that we will be able to give something that will be more reflective of your worth and how we value you. Because I know you're not feeling valued, and I'm really sorry for that. It's not why I came here. It's not why I wanted to sit here. But I am trying to make things better for next year and the years after. But we need to make sure that we do it in a way that's sustainable and that can be ongoing. And we don't have to have this fight every year. And I don't want it to ever be a fight. But I do need people in our community who've been emailing me and talking to me to step up, because I can't do everything by myself. None of us can. And a lot of it can't be done by us as board members. So we're going to need community help. So I've been encouraging people, but please reach out to me. I'm happy to work with you to get you into whatever area channel. I've got 4 different groups of people that I'm focused on. There's one for working with state funding level issues. There's one for helping with YES. There's one for the budget committee. There's various areas where I'm like gathering people together. So I'm not thrilled with this agreement tonight. I'm glad that we're settling it, but I don't think that this is anything that we're going to be finished with. And given that there's a 60 to 90 day period from when we ratify the next one, I want to make sure that we go into the next negotiations with full transparency. So there's not a negotiation, so we can get this done as soon as possible, so we can figure out how much money we will actually have. And so we can make sure that it's as much as we can possibly give you, and it's clear to everybody how much that actually is going into it. So, I mean, I think everybody here, I know that we're all in agreement that we want to make sure you guys get paid as much as possible, but we're trying to figure out how to make that happen right now. And with that, I will entertain a motion unless someone has anything else to say.
So I'd like to make a motion to recommend the Board of Trustees approve the tentative agreement between the Ross Valley School District Board of Trustees and the Ross Valley Teachers Association to resolve negotiations for the 2023-2024 school year and the AB 1200 disclosure.
Second.
All right, Daniel?
Aye.
And Ryan?
Aye.
And Rachel, aye. So motion is approved. All right. And with that, moving on to our agenda, our next item is update on the superintendent search process. And for that, I just have to say, we are so excited to announce our next incoming superintendent. We spent a really long time doing interviews, a really long time doing validation visits to the home school district. And we are so excited to announce Mr. Tyler Graff as our incoming superintendent. I was going to say, as school board president, there's been a lot of things that I've had to do recently that are very challenging. And this was one of the most rewarding and easiest decisions I've made in a long time sitting on this board. So it was a very welcome relief to find Tyler and to find that he kind of matched everything we were looking for. It was what we called a unicorn when Daniel and I were talking. So we're very grateful. And I don't know if you want to come up and say something, Tyler, but we'd be happy to say hello to you if you want to come up and say something.
Bell. So thank you for inviting me to this board meeting. President Litwack and Board of Trustees, Superintendent Trahan, I'm humbled and honored to be here. I've heard nothing but good things about your cabinet, your principals, your teaching staff. And for all of you who live in Marin, you know it's a really small place, so people know each other. And there's been countless members of the Santa Fe City Schools community that has come to me singing the praises of the Ross Valley School District. Folks that work in Santa Fe and send their kids to Ross Valley schools are really proud of the work that our teachers do here in service of our students. So I'm excited to get into classrooms, see the amazing work that gets done for our students each and every day. I want to thank President Litwack and Trustee Cassidy for coming to Santa Fe City Schools last Friday. It was Thursday, and it was really great. I know I told you this in person, but every person that was in that validation visit sung your praises and felt really jealous that I was coming to work for a board that is functional and supportive and aligned. So I'm really excited about that. My wife is also really excited that I'm getting this job. She's eager to drag me out of the city and come up to Marin. So we'll see with a timeline on that. And then I also want to thank Superintendent Trahan. We've already met a few times. We have a weekly meeting already set up. We're starting the transition. I want to be really respectful of Marcy and her work. She is the boss and the superintendent. And I have work to finish in Santa Fe. I want to finish strong at Santa Fe City Schools, but eager to get to the school sites between now and the end of the school year. And just like I said before, I'm humbled and honored to be here. And I know it's a huge set of shoes to fill, and a huge responsibility to the communities of Fairfax and San Anselmo. And I promise I'll do my best to step up to that challenge. So thank you.
Thank you. Can you give him a swirl certificate?
Sorry, I don't think we have extra swirl certificates. We just wanted to introduce Tyler tonight as far as he's our final selection for this position. We are going to be approving him on our May 29th, 2024 board meeting, and he'll officially begin employment as our trustee on July 1st, 2024. So we're going to we'll see him back in a month, hopefully. And then I don't know if there's any public comment on this item, but if you would like to step up to the podium, you could, if you're interested in making public comment at this time. All right. Seeing no public comment, I will move on. Our next item is number 3, window into RVSD, focus on student wellness. And this is Eric Sable.
So the last time that I shared our work as a district on student wellness was just about exactly 2 years. And there's a lot of water since then. And all juggling lots of different critically important things. So I really appreciate having the opportunity to spend about 15 minutes or so talking a big picture about our kind of the state of student wellness in our district and the work that our team of professionals is doing every day to support them. And not just our paid staff, but also to our community partners and our students, because they're also a big part of it as well. So while I am presenting this today, solo, if you will, I simply am the one who is sharing the work of many. In fact, I would say that every member of our district team, regardless of the role they serve, is absolutely a member of our wellness efforts. 100%. Okay. I mean, the first thing that we all got to do, as it says here in the White Hill Counseling Center, is just to relax. We all just got to take the time as best we can. We had a special ed team meeting today, and, you know, we can get caught up in a cycle of only being in that work mode or just in the doing. And I think our students can feel the same as well. So we got to just take a moment to relax. Or does it say be lax? I'm not sure if that's a B but I'm guessing that it's an R. I will go verify later. Be lax would be very different. These students are our student wellness ambassadors. It's a new program this year across a few schools in the county, including White Hill. And I'm going to talk about them a little bit later. So our wellness really is the foundation to student learning, growth, confidence, happiness. It is the absolute key to all of it. And again, whether that's something that a child is experiencing out on the playground with their peers and staff, or in the classroom, in a language arts lesson, in a Wednesday welcome, in the multipurpose room, at a play, at another assembly, all of those experiences contribute to that milieu that is a part of their wellness. And student wellness is absolutely rooted in our collective focus on the whole child, driven by adult collaboration, our shared values, and those clear systems, and we'll talk about a few of them, for implementing support, tangible support, to individuals, to small groups, to the whole school, to the whole district. I believe we're all familiar to a degree, and I know that Julia has shared in many of her presentations, whether it's around the LCAP or student learning, or our MTSS, the pyramid. And I'd like us to apply this to the wellness landscape as well, where in the tier 1 realm, in the classroom, in our program for all students, we're having opportunities for kids to be having those wellness related lessons, whether it's discrete curricula or just other experiences that contribute to that. And then as you go down the pyramid, those supports get a bit more intensive as the student need rises. So one mechanism that's really key to driving the wellness train, if you will, are our site care teams. Stands for Coordination, Analysis, Response, and Education. That's not our official care team symbol, but we should develop one as a district soon. So the care teams meet each week at each site, comprised of those following individuals, and you can see that it's a very multidimensional group, and those teams are talking about students. They're talking about who are new kids that are maybe coming up on the radar that are going to need support, and also following up on children that have been identified as potentially having some concerns. And it's really key that it is a multidimensional group, because we don't want to be caught up in our different departments, if you will. We need to have members across our professional spectrum there to think about ways that we can address these student needs. Moving into some other specifics, we have had for a number of years a full-time counselor and a full-time social worker at the middle school, and it's been really exciting to have 2 full-time counselors and a counselor and a social worker at the elementary school. So Ms. Carrington and Ms. Mercer each serve 2 school sites. And it's really exciting to see their work. And I get a chance to see it when they're doing a small group counseling session, to kind of build students' social skills and conflict resolution skills. And then a moment like this up at Hidden Valley, Ms. Carrington giving a social emotional learning lesson on empathy. So from small to big, our counselors are out on campuses and in classrooms doing that work. Elementary school kiddos are really talking about some big themes: emotional regulation, friendship, self-confidence, conflict resolution. And again, it's done in a developmentally appropriate way, and the age span that our counselors are working with, of course, is really extraordinary, from 4 years old up to the 11-year-olds in 5th grade. So the content and the message and the methodology have to absolutely be very dynamic and flexible. And if you think about it, there's no other educational setting where in one environment there's that broad an age range. Certainly not middle school. That's a 3 or 2 year sometimes age range. High school's 4. So our elementary folks are are working across a wide swath of the human developmental arc. This is some good stuff here. I think I'm going to put some of these posters up in my house. How to apologize. This is good. We're going to do a demo a little bit later. Daniel volunteered. We're going to have a little role play. And then also the Komochis is a curriculum that are being used typically with the younger learners. So this individual is teaching us that it's okay to be mad, not okay to be mean. I know some, high schoolers that could also potentially use that advice. But these are just a few of the many tools that our counselors are using to help bring that message to kiddos. Here's a little bit more about the Komochis. So they kind of role play different stories. The Komochis have different emotions and responses, and that's again amazing to see a group of 4 and 5 year olds kind of working through those scenarios together. It takes a lot of skill. Zones of regulation got mentioned earlier tonight is a curriculum taught in counseling groups. Also with individuals, you'll see these posters around campus. It's also utilized as a tool in special education. In fact, there's a lot of special education goals that could be based on using zones of regulation, goals that may be in the area of self-regulation, size of the problem, etc. So, and I know that in some of our principals' Wednesday welcomes or Wednesday assemblies, they'll actually reference them and talk about them. They'll have themes around social emotional learning topics. If we had more time, we would sit here for 3 or 4 minutes and do some lazy 8 breathing. We change our breathing, we change our brain chemistry, reduce our level of stress. All of us need that, children and adults alike. Just some other great visuals and tools that they use. Thoughts, emotions, actions, how to be our best selves. Just a little bit more about some of the different curricular pieces that in particular our elementary counselors are using. And it is a big part of our work moving forward to continue to refine and really make consistent across the district the different curricula and standards that our kids are experiencing with social emotional learning. A couple of other spaces that have really emerged over this year in particular. Brookside had what was a conference room that they have turned into a calm room, and children will seek it out when they're needing a moment. Maybe potentially some adults as well. Maybe I've wandered in there and kind of hung out for a little bit, needing a bit of respite. So, and this is actually really exciting. And this was in part made possible by the grants made available by Dedication to Special Education, which provides grant monies to educators, special educators, and general education teachers to provide support, either material support, environmental support, or curricular support to students. So this is a great collaboration at Brookside. Hidden Valley has a similar kind of space, and children, again, will often ask to go seek this space out. So really, these are kind of nascent wellness centers, if you will. And it's really exciting to see our teachers and staff and administrators be so supportive of creating these spaces in support of the students, and for the students to develop those self-advocacy skills to be able to say, hey, you know what? I need to, have a little moment. I need to take a little time out, and to know that they are safe and allowed to do that. Also, something that is ongoing right now, we kind of talked about a little bit at the last board meeting, puberty education for all fifth graders. And so our wonderful nurse, Jen Hammerski, has been going all over the district, and she'll set up shop a week at a time at each elementary school to teach these 4 lessons. And she's here tonight. Maybe she wants to why don't you just okay, maybe later. And again, it's really just awesome to see that all of our kids again are getting this critical opportunity on the cusp of a very big transition in their young lives, going off to middle school. Speaking of middle school, a brief overview. The White Hill counseling team, Michelle Pelton, Autumn Arbery, really powerful teammates. And there's just a lot of services and supports that they provide. And I'll say too, that certainly there are some things that kind of pop up, and obviously they're available to in the event of a student having a more severe kind of moment or a crisis, but they send out weekly check-in forms to all students, as I understand it, through their advisory. So their students understand and know that every single week they have an opportunity to say, hey, I need to check in on something. They're not depending on the kiddo to come find them. So that's a very significant part of White Hill as a culture. And some other services they provide. All of our counselors, elementary and middle school, also will provide special education counseling for those students that qualify for that, and they'll oversee their counseling goals. So by extension, all of our counselors are a part of our special ed team. They have, of course, counseling groups that can be centered around different topics, and they're addressing huge themes that we could look at those and understand that those will be things that the kids will need to tap into in high school, higher ed, and beyond. So I want to broaden. Again, when we're talking about wellness, we're not just talking about the specific service providers, although of course they're foundational. There's just the school culture, the campus culture that means so much to kids. And this is just the tiniest snippet of some of those elements. White Hill has lots of different clubs. And then, of course, they also have all the lunchtime competitions and the different matches, staff versus student soccer, etc. And so there's just so many opportunities for students to find a community within a community, which is really exciting. Of course, we also know that our middle school is fortunate to be able to offer a lot of after-school sports, volleyball, basketball, cross country, etc. The track team was just at the county meet, which is super exciting. But that's great for a lot of kids, but it's not necessarily every kid's cup of tea. So there's a lot of different places for kids to slot in. Also, every sixth grader goes through a life skills class. And so this is a really key piece and kind of an extension of what our school nurse is doing through puberty education. The kids continue to learn about healthy lifestyle, personal development, and they also get into more serious topics, substance abuse prevention, and kind of more topics around family life. And this is a list of a lot of the topics they cover, and it's very pertinent. It's very relevant, and these are big. Adult topics. These kids, as they're moving into their teenage years, are seeing this in their physical environment. Of course, they're also exposed to a lot of these ideas via social media and other forms of media. And having worked for many years at both the high school and middle school level, I can attest to the fact that we're doing a great job by helping educate our kids about these topics. at this young age. Here's a little snippet on our wellness ambassadors. So, and this is a picture actually of the inaugural meeting back in the fall at Whitehill. And there were students from Ballina Stinson, from Larkspur Corte Madera, and also from Ross Valley School District. These are districts that are participating in this program through the County Office of Education. And these are students that are getting trained on how to be peer educators, essentially. It's really, really exciting to see them having this opportunity, how to connect with peers and how to essentially kind of be extensions of the school's wellness efforts and resources. It's really, really cool. And it says a lot that we're one of the few districts in the county to be participating in this inaugural year for this particular cohort. They're going to weekend trainings. They're working with different community agencies. And they are going to be a part of our wellness and mental health committee, which is getting started up in a couple weeks. Tobacco use prevention education is also something that comes to the middle school to do education around vaping. Our wellness ambassadors are also getting trained in that. They're working with student leaders from Redwood High School. It's just an example of kind of some of the materials that they're going to be using to do their teaching. And then also too, how are we hearing from the kids? Obviously our teachers, counselors, staff, they're talking and working with kids every day. But bigger picture, how are we understanding as a district their experience, what they're feeling, what they're seeing? And so we have multiple means by which we're collecting this data. Panorama, we're moving into our third year of gathering student data on their learning experience, on climate, on safety, on their sense of connectedness. And those are happening right now. And the parents are also getting the opportunity to provide us their input. Cal Hope is a little kind of pilot project that we're doing with a smaller group through a grant at the middle school. And then the California Healthy Kids Survey is taken by our 5th and 7th graders every 2 years. So last year was the last time they took it, and they'll take it again next year. And it also talks about climate connectedness, but it also has a significant portion dedicated to understanding substance use and abuse. And this is just a quick example. We could look at this kind of data for hours. But for example, under school connectedness, you see we get this longitudinal data from 2021 to 2023. This is our 5th graders, obviously different groups of kids. And we can even see where we stack up compared to the state average. In this case, it looks like our 5th graders are reporting a greater degree of connectedness than is being seen around the state, which is exciting to see. Caring relationships, same story. Again, these are data that our staff get a chance to look at, and they do break it down school by school as well. This is across the district. 7th graders, same questions. And again, you get to see what's happening. And I will say this, it's very typical to see that kids, as they, go up the ladder into middle school, are starting to feel a bit more independent and maybe a little less sort of beholden to the school, if you will. So you would typically see those numbers, potentially go down a little bit. But yeah, please.
So is that 7th graders in 2023 scored 60 and they were 5th graders in 2021?
No, these are two different groups of kiddos. So actually, let's look at these kids back here. Connectedness. So the 2021 5th graders, right? So those would be our 2023 7th graders. And, again, it's one question out of many. And Healthy Kids doesn't have any narrative responses, but it's it's a great opportunity for us to look across trend lines, and you can see caring adult relationships. And those numbers are extremely high for a middle school, well above state average. And again, opportunities for our staff to lean in and get students talking in different kind of ways and different kinds of settings where we can hear more directly from them. Other things that we do that are in place in schools around Marin and beyond, things like Global School Play Day, which happens first Wednesday every February. And here you see some of our friends at Brookside. It was a rainy day this February, but they were having a great day. That was pretty evident. Events like that offer classrooms and campuses the chance to, have fun playing together and building new connections and great memories. And then again, as I mentioned, our first meeting for the Wellness and Mental Health Committee will be in a couple weeks. And the big buckets that this committee tackles is looking at nutrition, physical education, and also wellness and mental health. So we're excited for that. Representative group will have district staff, parents, and also student reps that'll be a part of it. So we're excited to get that committee started again after some years of hiatus. I just want to ask our trustees if there are any questions before we conclude.
Awesome. Where are we with digital literacy and social media? The rise of anxiety and depression through the roof since 2010. Many people are now realizing maybe cell phones and unmitigated access to the internet isn't the best thing. So I didn't see anything about digital literacy or social media and how we're affecting that.
I appreciate that. And I think that's happening in a lot of different venues. The life skills class at White Hill for sure is one place where they're absolutely looking at that. And actually in the puberty education lessons in 5th grade, they talk about media and messaging through media. So, that's another setting. But I will say this, the White Hill team made a really significant change by having all personal technology off and put away during the school day. And that's huge. And now we're seeing Jonathan Haidt wrote a big piece on how cell phones are essentially, stealing people's youth. And I appreciate a lot of his work. He actually has a chapter in one of his books on the power of play. So, and there's a lot of schools, including high schools, that are starting to look at having a personal device-free environment. And I know personally from, having led that work at Hall Middle School back in 2016, it made a holistic and deep impact on the campus and the culture. And it's not to say that technology is bad, but it is to say we're here to be mindful and attentive to each other, and not what's going on, on Instagram. We can save that for later. So kudos to the White Hill team and to the students and staff at White Hill and parents for supporting that. So I think that's just one way that we're seeing our community responding to this landscape, and how are we managing it rather than it managing us.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see more, especially at the elementary school level. The 4th grade class I was here earlier, I'm in that class weekly, and about a third of them are on their Apple phones. And so how do we, at an early age, start helping educate, maybe it's educating parents as well as what we're seeing in the resources and how it's affecting lifelong learners, college campuses, and how do we start that earlier on in the schools? And maybe it's a school by school thing. Hey, no Apple cell phones or whatever, Apple Watches. They have to go in this bin until after school. Things like that, just starting out early to reduce that dependency, because it's just a quick thing right now in 4th grade. And then 6th grade, you're just walking to class or school or home staring at a phone.
And I'm so glad that you talked about being in that classroom. You know why? Brookside has an away for the day. And so I will be passing this information along to Amanda so that they can talk about it as a school staff. And I understand all of our elementary schools have a way for the day too. But if we're only looking at the physical device that somebody might be holding in their hand and not what's on their wrist, then we're missing an opportunity there. We have also advertised to parents. There was a countywide event for parents to learn about social media, and the impact is also devices at young ages. We've talked about a roundtable. Was it roundtable or was that Superintendent's Council? I think maybe it was Superintendent's Council about looking at giving parents opportunities to learn. But one of the challenges of a parent ed event, as an example, is if you can't make it that night, those items are not recorded. And so we started talking about how to make resources available to parents that whenever they are ready to dip in. So as an example, there was an offering of wait till 8th. And if you have a kindergartner as an example, you're probably not interested yet or needing to know yet about wait till 8th. And so if that is a training opportunity that parents have access to, they may miss that opportunity if it's not offered every year. So we're talking about developing resources that families can access at any time and not just have to attend a meeting, because oftentimes the facilitators who put those on, it's an expensive event and they're not recorded, of course, because that's how they make a living. So we are talking about those things as well. But you bring up a really good point related to needing to have it infused at different grade levels as well, at the just right level for a child and a family.
Yeah, if you read the books and pay attention to the research, this would be the thing that parents are really scared about. And I get it. It's easy just to give a kid a device, but it's affecting their long-term well-being, not only in elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and now entering the workforce. And so I would just like to see us as a district take a more proactive educational stance in the classroom with the principals and just starting educating and removing those devices in these safe zones when they're not needed. And maybe that's from the first bell until the final bell. So thanks for listening.
Thank you.
And sorry I didn't have my microphone on for the first part.
Thank you for your TED Talk. All right. And there's no further discussion among the board. Do we have any public comment on this item? No? All right. Seeing none, I will move on. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. All right. We have our next item, recommended approval of declaration of need for fully qualified educators for the 2024-25 school year.
And this is a perfunctory item. We do it annually. So having a declaration of need on file with the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing allows us, in the event that we need to hire a teacher who isn't already completed their credential program. Oftentimes also the out-of-state requirements. California is very strict related to the requirements. There's not a lot of reciprocity with other states. And so with California's requirement to have English learner certification, a lot of out-of-state teachers don't have that for their state. And so in order for us to be able to employ them and be on permits until they do complete those requirements, we need to have the declaration on file. So this is an annual thing that we do, just in the off chance, because if we wait to do this and we hire somebody, they will not issue the permit. So we just do this annually.
Right. Do we have any public comment on this item? No? Okay. No, not
I
interested.
recommend approval of the declaration of need for fully qualified educators for the 24-25 school year.
All right. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
All right. Motion is second. Ryan.
Aye.
Rachel, aye. Daniel.
Aye.
All right. It is approved. Thank you. Moving on. Recommended adoption of resolution. We pulled that. Oh, yeah. We're skipping this one. Passing on that one. All right. And then status update on the Deer Park property sale.
Alrighty, so on this item is the status update of the Deer Park property sale. So the escrow was opened on March 28th, 2024, and is set to close on May 27th, 2024. A wire deposit of the $200,000 was received on March 29, 2004. We received consent from the town of Fairfax that the sale is consistent with the general plan for the town of Fairfax under Government Code Section 65402, and it was received on April 18, 2024. And the California Department of Housing and Community Development, otherwise known as HCD, has provided an email indicating that they agree that the property is exempt from the Surplus Property Act of April 27. Sorry, they provided that on April 27, 2024. And that was a verbal confirmation, but we're expecting the letter shortly to have the written confirmation. So we are on track to be completing the sale of the Deer Park property to the Siderman Children's Legacy Fund.
Great. Thank you for that update. Do I have any questions from our trustees here? No? All right. Any public comment on this item? No. All right. Thank you. We will be moving on since that was for information only. We have consent actions. Do we have any questions or changes to any of those items? No? All right. I will entertain a motion. We don't have any public comment. Do we have public comment on those? No? All right. Very quiet public tonight. Okay.
I'll move consent.
All right.
I'll second.
All right. So I have a motion and a second. Ryan?
Aye.
Daniel?
Aye.
Rachel? Aye. All right. So consent approved and board business. Committee updates and reports from trustees. Anything to report?
I think of the 9 o'clock. I'm okay not sharing too much right now.
Yeah. I think I covered it with the superintendent update. I've been to several events recently. White Hill had a couple concerts. Orchestra, choir, band, 5th and 6th graders, which were amazing. And then we did school site visits to Wade Thomas, Manor, and Brookside. So those are really cool too. So it's nice to see the classes. But other than that, I have no updates, right? Nothing? All right, good. All right, moving on. We have approval of special board meeting minutes for April 17th, 2024. If anybody has any questions or changes, otherwise, you want to, I'll entertain a motion for that.
I recommend the Board of Trustees approve the special meeting minutes for April 17th.
All right.
Second.
Motion a second. Daniel?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
Rachel? Aye. All right. So those ones are approved. Approval of regular meeting minutes for April 17th, 2024. I will make a motion to approve those.
I'll second it.
All right. So Rachel, aye. Daniel?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
All right. And the next one, Ryan, you were not at special meeting for the April 20th. So we were going to have to move that to the next meeting because we don't have quorum for that one.
Okay.
And then we have our next item is
Actually, you
can vote on it. If you can vote on
it. You have a quorum.
Even if you weren't there.
Yeah, I
That's
can
true.
abstain and it can still be a vote, I believe.
But can we approve them with two of us here?
I don't see why not. It's just an abstaining is a vote.
But you need three yeses, I think.
You might as well just punt it just to be safe.
We'll punt it. Okay. All right, then. The next item is IF, Board of Trustees Revised Calendar of Meetings for 2024-25. And I believe this was just in case we needed to have a July 17th board meeting. We had a regular meeting scheduled in case something happened to come up where we needed a regular meeting, where some things could only be done on a regular board meeting. If we don't need it, we would just cancel it, I believe.
That's correct.
Okay. So any questions, comments? No public here to comment. All right. Do we have to vote on this? Doesn't say vote. Okay. Sorry. It just says information. Do we need to bump that to, okay. All right. So that will be moved to the next agenda. All right. So then we have, it doesn't on the title.
It does in the the subject. But
it doesn't
does
say
not
here
have an
or
action.
here.
It says information. So where we were able to click the action, we didn't do that. And so therefore the action didn't show up. So it just, when you look at the agenda.
Yeah. Okay. And then I have, next item is Superintendent Cabinet Report. And I would like to make a request for this. Can we keep these to 3 minutes each just because it's late and we're trying to get this reined in? Thank you.
Right. Julia, would you like to begin?
Very quickly.
Thank you.
We had our final parent party and activities task force meeting of the year yesterday evening. Student breakfast there as It was a terrific meeting and just a really nice way to end the year with sites sharing some of the ways in which they've seen aspects of our racial equity mission statement take hold within their sites. So just super positive and, you know, a nice way to end. That was Marcy's last meeting, and she's, you know, been so instrumental in this work. I just want to publicly thank Marcy for being on this journey with me in terms of that work. And then today at our district grade level team meetings, our fabulous ethnic studies teacher group gave an overview of that project to their colleagues and then shared lessons. We also had a conversation about our math curriculum, and we got our curriculum ordering for the year going with a brand new and improved, once again, system for ordering and getting teachers what they need. We have a release day on Friday for all of our teachers who are piloting the assessment iReady. And after that, we'll be doing some surveying of teachers and then making some decisions about our assessment schedule and system for next year. And then lots and lots and lots of time spent on hiring and making some progress, but also recognizing that it is difficult, especially we have some hard to fill positions around special education, mathematics role at Whitehill, but also bringing on some really wonderful new people and very excited to be working with a staff member to help them work towards getting their math credential and be able to move into our upper grade math position. So that's exciting news for us as well. And that is it from Ed Services.
And Eric, do you have anything more from Student Services?
I haven't talked enough tonight. Just real quick, just every week, there's just all kinds of meetings happening where they're IEP meetings or they're like pre-meetings or post or just teams getting together to consult. Us talking with, when it's appropriate to make referrals to other programs, go observe children that we might be assessing in other settings. It just, all of it just is built on immense collaboration. So, I just want to recognize every team member for all the work that goes into every meeting, because every meeting is around a child, and that child is really important. So, and then other than that, appreciate the update from Julie on hiring and how much work that is from the HR team to keep pushing. And we're almost fully staffed for our extended school year program, which is really exciting, which will be held at Brookside for 4 weeks right after school gets out. And yep, that's hiring is where we're focused. So, huge thanks to our EL teachers for all the work with doing the LPAC. And just, it's that time of year, testing means that everybody's working that little bit harder. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chris Carson, CBU.
I will be fast. I look forward to the budget advisory committee that we're getting going on Monday. So I've been working on the agenda, the presentation, and the work that will be starting on Monday. So I really look forward to that. And also just as one member of the administration and the chief business official, I really want to say that as part of this team, we're laser focused on looking at other ways to build revenues, including parcel taxes, and thinking outside the box on ways to save money, because we do value the teachers very much. And I just wanted to reiterate the words that Marcy said earlier as well.
Thank you. I'm going to give up my time tonight because you know why? I don't know what we were just looking at with the calendar. It is actually agendized correctly. It is. It is the weirdest thing. I know. I just clicked back on it and it is there. I wonder if we accidentally clicked on something else, but I don't know how we both would have done it at the same time. But you saw it, Teresa, right? Yeah. Just to put it? All right. All righty.
Sorry, no. So future board topics and board direction. I think Daniel earlier mentioned something he was interested in about devices in the elementary level, but so we can look at that later.
I think for a future board topic, I'd like to bring up the idea of engagement, community engagement, either at the beginning of every meeting. We make these statements of importance, but we're starting a new year now. And at this point last year, I knew we might get to the end, and we did get to the end, and we didn't have a very easy time of it as a community. And community engagement, I think, really needs to be something that we use as a topic. I'm not saying it has to be a full agenda as item, but I'd like to address and challenge the community to be part of the process of solving the problem, as opposed to coming in, at the end of the day and wondering why it wasn't done. And I think it's a lot easier to engage them almost every meeting, to just, even if it's a statement, to really bring community engagement to help solve the problems that we all have, not just our board faces.
All right. Sounds good. Dan, go ahead. No. Are you sure? Okay. All right. So meeting debrief. I think we're still working on how to go transition from having people here to having them leave, and kind of doing that smoothly and timely. Working on that. But other than that, I think we kind of moved along tonight. And so we don't need to continue past 10:30. So unless there's anything else anyone wanted to add, I'm going to adjourn our meeting at 9:14.